And yes, thank you for joining our May 2021 stakeholder meeting. I hope everyone's had a pleasant spring thus far. On our agenda this evening, we're going to have a Tourism Business Improvement District presentation, TBID, as you all might have heard, by the Director of Partnership from the CVB, Davis Meyer. We're also going to go into some updates and reminders, updates from finance staff regarding TOT audits. I'm going to briefly go over some of the updates regarding COVID-19 that we've seen from a vacation rental perspective, a high-level overview of our first quarter of 2021 VR hotline. Also talk a little bit about our Good Neighbor brochure, specifically going into the third quarter and then the summer months. Go over a little bit about our application processing, where we're at currently, both with the processing procedures for our new and renewal applications. And then Veronica will also discuss a little bit about Zoom education trainings that we're looking to get into. And after we get done with the updates and reminders, we'll then go into some general discussion where we can feel free to ask questions, and we'll field them from there. And like I said, if we're not able to answer those questions at this meeting, we will definitely reach back out and get those answers to you. So with that, welcome Davis from the Greater Palm Springs CVB, and thank you for attending this meeting and this presentation. So with that, I would like to turn it over to you for your presentation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see so many familiar faces and names on the call. My name is Davis Meyer. I'm Director of Partnership at the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau, but once upon a time I was General Manager at Vacation Palm Springs. So I have a great affection for this industry and for many people on the call today. And I have a massive presentation that some of you may have seen at other webinars that we have been doing for vacation rental owners and property managers. And I'm just going to touch on a few points here to be respectful of the rest of the agenda and everyone's time this evening. So I'm going to start sharing my screen if I can. And I think as soon as I start doing this, the chat and everything is going to disappear. So if anybody has questions or something, just holler at me. All right, let's see if this works. There we go. Are you seeing my presentation?
Yes,
okay. So just to start from the beginning, maybe, let's see. There we go. What is a tourism business improvement district? For those of you who are not yet familiar on the call, TBIDs are a funding mechanism that tourism industries and other industries use to create dedicated, reliable sources of funding for promotion and marketing. Visit California really kind of pioneered this in our state back in the first administration of Governor Jerry Brown, creating a TBID that would prevent the legislature basically from ever removing funding from marketing in the state. So there are over 160 of these TBIDs across the country, and that's quickly growing. Most of them are here in the state of California. Most of them are lodging businesses, but sometimes they include restaurants. A lot of ski towns will have TBIDs that include ski resorts and restaurants and hospitality and lodging. The first ever wine tasting room TBID was just formed in Temecula, and they're working on a cannabis TBID in San Diego right now. So lots of these across the state and the country, and the purpose really is to create that dedicated funding that then allows the industry to promote itself consistently. And so those funds are earmarked for promotion, education, research, public relations, anything that helps support the businesses paying into the TBID. Our current hotel TBID, the CVB, has managed TBID for hotels with 50 rooms or more throughout the Coachella Valley since 2009. They are currently paying a 3% assessment on short-term rental revenue. Small hotels in the city of Palm Springs under 50 rooms also have a 1% TBID assessment that the city manages for them. And now vacation rentals across Greater Palm Springs or the Coachella Valley will have the 1% assessment that starts in July and begin to be able to benefit from some of that promotion, education, and research. So some of the things that a TBID can help support, most notably what we've heard from a lot of you in the industry is that local community education about the positive impacts of vacation rentals, research that supports the education and marketing and helps to share best practices with different cities, different marketing opportunities, destination marketing that targets vacation rental guests, and other owner education and resources that helps both owners manage their own homes, that helps property managers better manage their homes, and that can help guests better understand the rules around staying in a vacation rental and how to best enjoy their vacation rental vacation. So some basic stats here. How much is the TBID? It's 1% of gross rental revenue on stays of less than 28 days. It is calculated on the same rental revenue amount as TOT. It is not taxable, so it can be a pass-through to the guest, just like TOT, so that TBID assessment is not calculated in the TOT calculation. And the TBID will be added to the collection form, the same collection form as TOT. So you'll submit that to the city at the same time that you're submitting TOT payments, and then the cities, each of the cities in the Coachella Valley and parts of the unincorporated county areas will remit the TBID funds to the CDB to manage on behalf of the industry. And how you can get involved. So we are working on a vacation rental advisory group to help set priorities and guide these promotion efforts. And we're very close. I believe this week we should be sending out applications and emails. I know several of you on the call have expressed interest. We certainly want as much feedback from a variety of owners, property managers from the city of Palm Springs, from across the valley to really help set the priorities for this. This is the industry's money to determine how best to use. We are also expanding our board of directors. We currently have a 32-member board of directors at the CVB, and 4 more spots will be added for representatives from the short-term vacation rental industry. We currently have 1 representative right now. Mike McLean serves on the board, the CVB board of directors. Every vacation rental home will get a complimentary listing on our website. So we are getting that set up now, and everyone will start receiving emails from us about logging into your account, setting up your listing, and adding images, things like that. So if that's something that you want to do to connect back to either your own personal VRBO, Airbnb listing for your property, or if you're a property manager and want to add properties to the website, you'll be getting information about that soon. And we will be keeping all of this information up as current as possible on gpstbid.com as it relates to the TBID. All of our partner information and account login is at mygpscdb.com. So I'll post those in the chat in a little bit, but 2 websites that you can get lots of information on. There's also a email sign-up form currently on gpstbid.com if you want to sign up to make sure you're getting all of our emails. And we are working with the city on communicating through emails that the city has for you as well. And I will go a little bit into some of this. So the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau was established back in 1989. 8 of the 9 cities in the Coachella Valley and parts of the county got together to form what is known as a Joint Powers Authority. It's a quasi-government organization to promote the region, to bring in more visitors and grow the tourism economy here. So it's like I mentioned before, since 2009, we've managed the TBID. Prior to that, it was just city funding. Now we have a small amount of city funding and primarily TBID funding that supports the marketing efforts. We have our own in-house creative agency and brand team that brands the destination, creates lots of fabulous commercials for us and other great content. Our marketing team works on television ads, outdoor billboards, digital marketing campaigns, social media. Obviously, most of this outside of the area, attracting visitors to the destination. We also have a PR and communications team that brings in media and pitches stories to media across the country and across the world about the region and exciting things that are happening here. And then we have a tourism development team as well, really focused on things like air and rail service development. The easier that we can make it for people to get here, the more visitors we will have. So we work with the airlines like Southwest and others to bring new service here and expand routes, and are working on rail service development as well. International development, working with offices in other countries to promote our area to travel agents and tour operators. Research, we do a ton of research, not just to support our own marketing efforts and marketing efforts for the hotels, but also for different projects that are going on in the area. We've done several Salton Sea studies to really look at the impact of the Salton Sea if nothing is done versus if it's revitalized and turned into a tourist hub. So information like that, again, all of our research is available at mygpscvb.com if you want to check it out there. And group sales and events as well. So that's working with the convention center, the convention hotels to bring conventions and meetings and groups here. And some of the key strategies for growing tourism are listed on here. I'm gonna skip through actually. So this is a little bit about our current research, things that we're working on currently. This was a slide we put together about opportunities for short-term vacation rental data. We are now working with Key Data to get their analytics for vacation rental occupancy and pace reports, things like that. Tourism Economics, which is a division of Oxford Economics, who we work with very frequently on our economic impact studies of tourism valley-wide and for each city, is doing an impact of vacation rentals for us for this year. So that'll be really interesting to see. And then we have, some just other future ideas. This again is all guided by you in the industry, what you would like to see as far as research and data analysis on the effects of bans in cities that have banned them, or other key metrics that demonstrate the value of vacation rentals. And actually, I'm going to stop sharing now, I think. There we go. And see if there are any questions that I can answer at this time. Let's see. So there's a question here about the 28 days, nights. So there is a 1 day difference between the TBID requirement for homes in the city of Palm Springs and the TOT requirement. Since this is the Valley-wide Tourism Business Improvement District, we went with the cities that had the lowest requirement for what was a short-term stay, which is 27 nights or 28 days. The cities of Palm Desert and Rancho Mirage, I believe. So there are other cities that are up to 30 or 31 days. The county, I believe, is at 31 days on what their threshold is for no longer having TOT applied. So there is a 1 day difference at 28 days. Sorry, I'm trying to read and respond at the same time. But I know for us, it's 28 days, 27 nights would be the threshold where TBID is not required. So if you've collected it, if you have a stay where you're charging them TOT, but they don't have to pay TBID, you could then refund that, or on the form we would review that and credit the account for it if you were overpaid there.
So Davis, it's Bruce Oben from Rerun. Would you please just clarify that yes, you have a login to CVB GPS, or sorry, TBID, okay? But your TOT is paid to each city as a separate line item to the city, and then they send you that money.
Correct. Yes. So you will not be able to pay any TBID through our account login. You can sign up for partnership and other marketing opportunities that you could pay for through there, but the TBID assessment will only be paid to the city where your vacation rental is located here in Palm Springs, and then the cities turn around and remit it to us.
However, CBB does offer a free vacation rental listing service.
Yes, we will have those up on our site. You can view our current listings at visitgreaterpalmsprings.com, and I'll put those in here. Currently, we've just worked with property management companies in the past, and some of the event homes that have joined as partners that were having a lot of weddings or groups using them for an offsite venue. So there are not individual homes on there currently, but you can get an idea of what the listings will look like and where they'll be on the site. This will be going up in just another month or so here. Hi, Frankie.
And also, Jacob, would you confirm that I believe we'll be changing the TOT website for the city of Palm Springs, so there will now be 2 line items once you put in your revenue for the month, and it will break out for you how much is going to the city's TOT and the percent going to the TBID, correct?
Yes, Bruce, we're going to be doing that with our online platform as well as the paper TOT TBID return. In the past, we've had one TOT return. We've had a separate TBID return for small hotels. We're going to discontinue the small hotels separate return, and there will just be one form to fill out for TOT, and then at the bottom for TBID, whether you're a small hotel or a vacation rental homeowner.
Got it.
So both the online system and the paper system will be updated.
Thank you. Francine from VRON also?
Hi there. I just want to clarify the number of, I know the day and night thing gets very confusing. So you said 27 nights or less is TBID applies to, right? Which is 28 days or less.
It's 20. So at the 28th day, the TBID no longer applies. So at 27 nights, the TBID does not apply.
Oh, sorry. So the 27th night, it doesn't apply. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
This always used to drive me a little bit crazy too, because obviously as a vacation rental owner or manager, you don't book people by the day, you book them by the night. But in city ordinances and documents like the management district plan that outlines the TBID, we talk about it by the day. So it's at 28 days that it no longer applies, which would be 27 nights.
And Davis, would you just inform everybody about how to deal with the transition? Like if you get a booking in June versus a booking in July, where it is effective, you know, how are we dealing with that?
So it will apply to all revenue that is realized starting after July 1, all short-term rental revenue that is realized. So I've talked to some property managers that were going back to guests and letting them know there has been an increase. You can find some information, the resolution of intent, the management district plan on the gpstbid.com website if you wanted to do that, to reach back out to guests and let them know there's been a 1% increase, or some that are just taking it now, charging it now on every reservation and crediting it back to guests that are staying before July 1. So it's kind of up to you, but it will be the owner's responsibility or property manager's responsibility to remit for all revenue realized after July 1.
So because Airbnb and VRBO does not have a column for a start date of a new assessment, okay, you need to turn on the extra 1% immediately. And if the booking comes in prior to July 1st, you can refund the 1%. Otherwise, you're going to get caught short, you know, trying to juggle where this 1% applies in July and afterwards, and what do you do with a June or a May booking? Does that make sense?
And there's a couple questions about reservations that span from June into July. So my understanding is it would only be due on the portions of that reservation's revenue that were for July dates. But I can get clarification on that and send that out.
I think that's kind of impossible to figure out. That we should just take the transition ones over that transition date and just not apply the 1%. That would be my recommendation.
And I do want to, we certainly know there's going to be a lot of education and ramp up in getting this collected and implemented. And so we certainly will be working with owners and property managers on a case-by-case basis on things like this that come up.
Thank you, Davis, for your presentation. I'd like to ask if there's any further or any more questions regarding TBID. Feel free to unmute and ask the question. If not, we'll go to the next item on the agenda. Thank you.
You got one more question at the bottom of the chat.
It's here. All right, thanks for the question. And Jacob, maybe you can help answer this. Jacob Finance, the question is, will we need to show the city that we refunded the 1%? And what would count as a receipt for doing so? Thank you for that question.
Well, I think the document of that person's stay should have something on it that shows that they got the 1% back, as though you were refunding a security deposit, for example, that kind of a thing.
All right, thank you very much. All right, if no further questions, we can go ahead and move on. Thanks, Davis, again for that presentation. Much appreciated, and thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you. The next up on our agenda is updates regarding TOT audits from Jacob in our finance department. And Jacob, I'd like to turn it over to you. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. I'm sure everyone, I'm going to share my screen, Patrick.
Go ahead, Jacob. Thanks.
Okay, can you see my chart?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we all know that, we started the audit process back in February of last year, making our sample selections and starting to look at some of the work involved. And then, of course, COVID hit and everything was closed down, and our staffing here at City Hall was also reduced significantly. So we didn't get a lot of things done over the last year, unfortunately, because of that. But we have started restaffing. We do have 2 full-time auditors now here in City Hall with me. And so we are back on track with getting through some of these vacation audits. So please be patient with us. We are trying our best to get as many of them completed and out as possible. Right now, as it stands, there are 16 of them that are either still being worked on or waiting for my review. We've completed 44 of them, and there still remains 138 accounts that we haven't looked at yet. So we're trying our best to get these numbers up, and with things looking better in the economy here and things opening up, I think we'll be able to pick up the pace on these and get these done hopefully by the end of this year. Okay.
So Jacob, if I may,
yes.
Actually, the city itself started the audits on April 16 of 2018, even though it was done by an outside service.
Yes.
And there was a pool of about 1,100 homes that are not managed by an agency that, were required to go through an audit. So of that original pool of 1,100 in 2018, how many have we completed?
Those are all closed out. Any audit that was done by the outside service in the past, they've all been closed out.
Got it. So you're dealing with what, another pool of 250 or whatever
210.
number? 210?
We took a selection of 210, yeah, and we'll probably end up doing a similar selection come 2022.
And then how many do you think you can complete all 1,100 homes by 2022?
We had it on a 4-year cycle. So we thought we had 11 or 1,200 of them. We were trying to do 25% of them each year going forward, but we've been set back because we couldn't get these done in time.
Sure, understand
So
that.
that's what we'll probably pick the same size population come January 22. And these folks here that have already gone through this process can, sort of sit back for 3 or 4 years before we get back to them.
Right. So what year will we start auditing the agencies? Because you're doing audits of individual homeowners who don't have an agency.
Yeah.
When is the next cycle for auditing agencies?
Yeah, that's something we've been talking about. What we're doing now with some of the hotels we are contracting those out to a third party, and that will happen. The same thing will happen with the agencies. We'll probably contract out 10 or 15 at a time to those folks once we get through this summer season here in Palm Springs. The other struggle we're having is that we are changing all of our accounting systems here in City Hall come July 1st. So we're also we're struggling with that as well. We've got a new accounting system coming in. All of our systems are changing. We're doing our best to get these things done. So I think when it comes to the agencies, we're also looking at either end of the year or in January, but we won't be doing those in-house. We'll be doing those with the outside contractor.
Did we award that contract yet?
We have a continuing contract with Avenue Insights, yeah.
Okay.
Out of the Los Angeles office, I believe they're in. Not necessarily Los Angeles, but you know what I mean. Okay. Any other questions on the audit process? All right, let me stop sharing that.
Yes, what should we expect from the audit process?
What we typically do is send you a notice and we ask you for your accounting records, whatever your records are, to show support for all the monthly TOT returns you filed during the period that we're looking at. So if we're looking at 18 and 19, we're asking you for your support, whether it's a general ledger account, whether it's a spreadsheet showing all the stays that happened during that period. We then look at those and compare them to what was filed on the tax returns. And then we pick a sample selection of 2 or 3 months. We'll ask you for more detail to see the daily, if there are daily, but whatever the stays are for a particular month. And then we'll go a little bit further. If we don't have the details of the stay, we'll ask you for whether it's a folio or whether it's a spreadsheet, that you have something that you have supporting what the charges were to that guest for that period. That's basically the process.
And is the driver's license a copy of the person's driver's license required?
That's a compliance issue that I'll let Chantel or Patrick answer. That's not something an auditor looks at.
Yes, to answer the question, are we talking about the ID requirements from a rental guest when prior to occupancy? Just want to confirm.
Yes, Patrick, that was the question.
Okay, yes. Pursuant to our municipal code, a copy of the responsible person's government-issued ID needs to be maintained for record purposes, for audit, such like that as well, a compliance audit. But yes, a copy of the government-issued ID needs to be obtained.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And how long is that to be kept?
I believe it's for a minimum of 4 years or a maximum of 4 years for audit. Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Jacob, I do see some questions in the chat box. I'll try to go through them here, and you might have already answered it, but what I'll do is I'll just read it out, just in case you haven't. The first question I see is when audit is completed, are VR operators notified of the outcome of the audit? If so, will that be an official letter and email response from the finance department? Thank you for that.
Yes,
question.
that's a good question. We do prepare results of audit type notice that we send to you. We give you a recap summary of what we've found. You have an opportunity, if you haven't already, to provide more information if there is something that would change the results of the audit. But typically, it is a written letter to you, a notice indicating what the findings are and what monies are owed to the city, if any.
Looks like Francine, you have a question.
Hi there, thank you. So I'm of the understanding that people that are in the current group of audit, that's 2017 to 2019, is that correct?
I believe so. I don't have the dates in front of me.
That there have been several people that are being charged, that are being receiving reports saying that they have underreported because they were not charging TOT on OTA credit card processing fees and OTA guest fees, and that they are now being asked to pay TOT from 2017 to 2019 on those fees that the guest never receives, that only the OTA receives, and something that was not even in, we have, as I know you're aware, we have a schedule of what TOT is applicable to and what it's not applicable to. And that schedule that was present from 2017 to 2019 said, we do not have to charge TOT on those items, but people that are being audited are getting charged that retroactively. Could you speak to that, please?
Yes, we are looking at the municipal code and we are applying the rules that are in the municipal code to the TOT audits. Unfortunately, the chart that you're looking at that was made in the past doesn't have accurate information in it in every case. So, as I said, it's unfortunate that that was the way it was, but we have updated that chart. About a year ago, we updated that chart to better reflect what the position is on some of these types of fees. It's clear in the code that any fees charged to the guest to gain occupancy to the home is taxable, including service fees that our agencies may be charging, our online agencies, as well as some other things. Let me show the code.
I guess I'm just curious, if we are given a city document telling us what TOT is applicable to and what it's not applicable to, during those years, how you can retroactively go back and change your mind in 2020.
The code has always been the same. So,
but that's not the document that we were all given to operate from.
again,
And that document was even printed on the back of our TOT forms that we lodge.
Not to mention, excuse me, Jacob, hi, it's Michael Vallejo. We sat in a meeting with Dr. Reddy and Patrick's predecessor, and we were explicitly told by the city, with approval from the current city council, that this would never happen for exactly this reason, that there would absolutely never be a situation where the city would come for us for a retroactive thing after we had been told that we did not have to collect that. So we have an agreement with the city that you are now trying to violate. And let me tell you, I can speak for myself, that's not going to go over.
okay, send me a copy of that agreement because
It was a meeting and it was a verbal agreement, and Jeff Kors was there and Dr. Reddy were there. I am more than happy to get a letter from both of them if that's what you need.
And the city attorney was there. So Mr. Ballinger, would you mind speaking up that you did attend that meeting and we did agree in August of 2019, this is the list of what is taxable and not taxable. I'm not asking you to rule on whether it's retroactive or not, but you were in that meeting.
I was in that meeting. I would have to look back at my notes to see if there was any sort of statement about an agreement that we would never come back as part of an audit for things that are allowed by the municipal code. So I'll do that.
Thank you, Mr. Ballinger. Our objection is the retroactivity, of taking a September 2019 list and ignoring the September 2020 list and ignoring the August 2019 list. That's our objection.
Well, it's one of the objections.
Correct.
Yeah,
And I just want to continue on where I was going with that. Obviously, we're talking about the retroactive part, and I'm a VRON board member. I want to speak on behalf of several of our members, and it's more than several, I know, but a lot of people are scared to speak up about this because they're nervous about retribution. And I'm not saying that that is going to happen or does happen at all. Please don't read me wrong. But people are nervous about asking these questions. And so as a VRON board member, I'm asking you on behalf of our entire membership about this. And the next thing I want to ask is, if a document is published in 2020 and you guys just pop it up on your website without any kind of notification to us whatsoever, how are we meant to know that something has changed
exactly
in the schedule? I mean, it's not like we're trolling your website every day of the week to see if there's been a change on TOT. It's very frustrating.
I understand that. I don't have the power to change it. I know what the law is. As an auditor, I'm required to audit to the law. If these kinds of issues come up, I can't be the one to make these decisions on whether or not to do something about this.
So it's not the vacation rental owner that's accountable. It's the one that put out the message that it was non-collectible is who you're auditing, right? I mean, if they're the ones that told us not to. And I do have a question though. Airbnb doesn't collect on the guest fee. How do we make that happen? How do we get them to collect?
You can add charges to stay.
But then it doesn't come through as TOT.
You can put it through as an item, anything, as if someone was making a change and adding a person at the home.
Right, but then that gets taxed different. That's also an extra fee. That's not a pass-through. That's an income. I'm really confused on that.
I think you
and
can
I'm
put
new.
it in.
I'm just confused. Yeah.
Okay, you can put it in as an extra charge.
So I'm sorry, Jacob, I understand you're telling us that you don't have the authority to do that. Just so we're clear, so we can stop wasting time. Who does? Because I'll happily talk to them.
I would say you speak with the city manager and you speak with the council.
Great.
Thank you, Jacob, and Mr. Ballinger for your clarification. Everyone, thank you for those questions. I did take notes as well. I'm sure Jacob too, pass along if there's any information that needs to be further communicated, we will as well.
I mean, Patrick, this is Mr. Connor.
Yes,
your department is kind of in the middle here, but what is your department doing about this big discrepancy?
Well, from a vacation rental department standpoint, with the audits, we're just working alongside with Jacob and Mr. Ballinger to make sure that whatever is needed from the audit perspective that we can provide, it is done so for example, communications. If we get questions regarding what's taxable and not, we'll relay that to the finance department. So if the source of that communication is coming directly from them. So as you mentioned, we're kind of the middleman with that, but we just want to make sure that, we pass along the correct information received from owners and operators of yourself to finance, and then vice versa back out to the citizens like yourself. So it's kind of where we're at in that position. But definitely we take I take notes too to follow up with that. And as is mentioned too, further questions, could be brought up as well to the city manager and city City Council to for further clarification or direction. And with that too, is any other questions regarding TOT audits? You know, I can't see everybody's screen from what I see, so I don't know if there's any raised hands, but definitely feel free to unmute your microphone and ask the question if there's some remaining questions out there. Thank you.
So this is Deborah Hovel. If I understood Jacob correctly, about every 4 years we should expect a routine audit. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, that's not set in stone, but that's what our process was for this group, and
Right.
hopefully, but as the group gets larger, that may be, that may be looked at again and see, maybe we need to increase how much this time we did 210, we may have to do 310 for each quarter. I mean, for each quarter of that period.
Right.
So that's basically what the idea was.
Okay, so if we were contacted by the outside agency for an audit several years ago, then that would have been our audit and we would be another couple of years from them roughly to expect an additional audit.
If you were audited by the prior outside firm, your name was removed from the population that we used to pick the 210 this year.
I see. And Jacob, are you actually reviewing 25% of all active listings, or are you selecting a sample population from that 25%?
We're selecting a sample population.
All right. So it's sort of a lottery of that 25%.
Exactly.
Okay. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks everyone. So if there's further questions regarding TOT audit, you're more than welcome to email myself. I could forward to Jacob. You can email Jacob as well. And then the answers will be delivered to you via that source. Moving on
Can someone post a link to this grid or this chart or whatever that has been updated that I don't think anybody was communicated to the fact that it was updated?
Yeah, I believe that's available on our finance website. I believe I can post that to the chat box as well. Jacob, that is on the finance website, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and post that to the chat box for your review. Thank you for that. Moving on in the agenda, discuss briefly about the first quarter VR hotline. Oh.
Patrick, one quick question.
Yeah.
Was the change from the August 2019 list of taxable items to the September 2020, was that mailed out to all vacation rental permittees, that change? Were they made aware?
Anything from our department, we did not mail out anything yet. Now, if it came from another source, I'm not.
Right, but this is from finance. So were all the permit holders made aware of a change in what is taxable and not taxable from the September 2020 update?
It wasn't a change from taxable to non-taxable. The chart was incorrect. The law was the same.
Jacob, I'm gonna really disagree with you on that.
The city put out a false document.
Yeah, I'm gonna really push back on that. Now, the city wishes to make a change. I understand that. But the city did not communicate that change. The city expects people to read an ordinance that says mandatory versus optional items. So for the record, we wish to object to that if you wish to change it, you should have communicated it. And I'll leave it at that. And I realize it's a tricky situation, okay? So thank you for your work on this, Jacob, but I will add one more thing though. We made the changes to the chart. You got a copy of it, you had a copy of it, and there was some disclosures there that we made. It's not like we just did it blindly on our own. You did have the opportunity to look at it. You did not have the series of meetings that we had in order to create that chart. And we created that chart because of the massive confusion, a year before, what was taxable or not taxable. And VRON came up with the idea of, let's create a chart. And we worked with the hotels, and you weren't part of that at the time, okay? But communications is very important about all this. And I'll leave it at that. We should move on.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Jacob, for the information. Moving on to the first quarter VR hotline call log review. Just a quick summary. I'm not going to go too far in depth of what detail of the report. Just to let you know that these hotline reports are still available on our vacation rental website under department reports. Everything from our weekly hotline calls to the quarterly reviews that we do, and additionally total citations that are issued. But looking over the first quarter from 2021 to last year, quarter of 2020. Oh, you know what? I apologize. I skipped over the COVID-19 update. Let me go back to that. I apologize for that. So quick overview for COVID-19 update. As you might be aware, there was an update to the face mask, requirements of, going to what the Department of Public Health is. We posted that website on our vacation rental website. So just to help kind of answer maybe questions that you're receiving from guests regarding, what are the face mask requirements. So if you visit our vacation rental website, you will see on our main page there under COVID-19 updates, the link to that guidance from the Department of Public Health here in California, and should be able to answer any questions that maybe you or your guest have regarding face masks. So I did want to just give a quick update regarding that. Going into the first quarter VR hotline again, like I said, there were a total of 306 calls received for the first quarter. Out of that, 142 were calls associated to a specific registered vacation rental where code compliance had to go and investigate some kind of call that came into the hotline regarding that property. Out of those, that was an increase of 37% from the year before. So we did see a little bit of an increase of calls from the year of 2020 first quarter. But out of those 142 calls, there was 24 citations issued for the first quarter, predominantly for music. So 16% of those calls resulted in a citation to a registered vacation rental property. And overall, citations issued in general from code to vacation rental properties, maybe they were called into the Palm Springs Police Department, or they were called in via the apps that are available from, My Palm Springs. There was an increase in citations of 15 citations total from the year previous. So we are seeing a little increase of citations and calls for the first quarter, which kind of falls into the next thing on our agenda that we wanted to talk about was the Good Neighbor brochure information that's required to be provided to each of the guests prior to occupancy.
Doctor, I'm sorry, is this taking into account being closed down for a couple months, first quarter last year?
Yeah, so this does reflect any calls that would have been in the January when we were closed down for a little bit.
Well, it's just saying that 37% increase. Well, there's certainly going to be an increase if we weren't even open and it was a minimum of 2 months. So
well, this is an increase from the year prior when we were open.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But going back into, but great question, thanks. Going back into the Good Neighbor brochure, we did, look at that with our stakeholders and, working cooperatively with the VRON group from what they heard, as a main concern from the stakeholders regarding the Good Neighbor brochure. And, last August, we did update this language a little bit just to kind of clarify maybe what the guests were getting confused on regarding predominantly the music outside. So this brochure was updated with, for example, fine amounts and a little bit clear information regarding music to help maybe assist the future stays coming up here in the second quarter and third quarter to help kind of communicate that music is not allowed and there will be a monetary fine if found in violation. That Good Neighbor brochure is still available on our website, the Vacation Rental website, under our 1918 toolbox. It's a PDF still there that most of you probably are aware, but for those that don't, the updated version from August is there and available for your use at that. The next thing I want to talk about was just application processing with our department. we're still seeing a lot of renewals coming in, and and also we are getting new applications as that. But the big point is we're still at a 45 to 60 day processing window, as we previously mentioned in our last stakeholder meetings, and we're still continuing on that path. So even including renewals, you can expect a 45 to 60 day. Now, not everybody's reaching that 60 day, but we are communicating that just so there's no surprises that if they reach that 60 day. From what we review with staff, the big form that is missing a lot of times with our applications is actually the safety inspection form for code compliance to go out and do your annual safety inspection of your property. So that is required to be done every year, where they're checking the smoke alarms and they're checking the the fire extinguisher in your property. So that is required to be done, and is required to be with your annual renewal too. And furthermore, just a reminder that payment towards your renewal application, we still need your documents submitted to our department too. So if you make a payment to our finance department for your annual renewal, and you haven't submitted your application paperwork, you may receive a delay notice from us saying, we haven't received your paperwork yet. Your renewal is not fully processed, and please get that paper to us as soon as you can, because your renewal is not fully completed until both payment and completed application documents are received. Before I go into the next thing with Veronica, though, I just wanted to see if there's any questions I might be that I can answer regarding application processing or anything else that might have came up during this conversation.
Patrick, I do have a question on that. This is Trish Selby. We did all of our renewal, and of course some of it was delayed as was expected. And then we had our inspection done and safety, and he made the noise and made the alarm stop making noise and all that. But we still haven't received the actual paper that we're supposed to stick in the house every year that says we're current. How far behind is that piece of it?
I don't think that should be too far behind. What I'll do is I'll follow up to make sure that what we're doing now is emailing those out, to make it smoother and, save on mailing. And in that email, we'll ask if you want a paper copy of that certificate mailed to you. We'll go ahead and do that too. But let me go ahead and follow up with that with our with staff to see if that was missed or not. Because once that process, the application or the safety inspection is done too, I don't think it's too much farther other than that. But what I'll do is get you a timeline if it's still in process. If not, get it sent over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item on our agenda is some Zoom education training, which we are currently developing and are planning to introduce in June. One thing that we learned in COVID is there's other ways to effectively communicate with individuals in our community. So we really want to work with our stakeholders to provide education that is helpful. One of the items that we are going to do first is a Vacation Rental 101 class, where we will go through various processes that some individuals may not be familiar with, such as our TBID, our contract summary submission. We'll answer any questions. We'll provide resources for some companies that provide noise detection. So we really want to make sure that everyone knows what the rules are, because unfortunately what we are hearing when people receive citations is, I didn't know. So we really want to close that gap. And we do value your input because you have experience as operators already. So if you have any suggestions for topics, we would love to hear from you. Just email me directly so we can get this going. We'll also have like a refresher course and an application course. So we really are focused on just communicating and make everything clear for everyone in this industry.
So Veronica, this is Deborah Hovel. I have a question about that, and you can just tell me it's not part of this discussion, but we are an agency managing 6 condo units in a historic property, very small, and very near us, just over the wall, we now have a vacation rental home that was sold with 8-part ownership of it. And we've had some noise problems coming from that property, but technically it's not rental because it's just a fractional ownership home now. And so my question is, the good neighbor policy applies to vacation rental and hotels. Does it also apply to something like a fractional ownership vacation home?
I would have to look at this further. This isn't the first property. We actually have had a few that have surfaced here at the city, and I really think further evaluation, because there's noise rules for everyone, regardless if it's a short-term rental. They're much stricter for short-term rentals, but for this situation, it's unique because they don't fall under that short-term rental definition, yet there's a constant flow of individuals. So it may need something that we have to address separately. And it is on my list to follow up with our city attorney and city manager.
Thank you. If you need any additional information, feel free to contact me.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward because I know we try to keep these meetings to an hour. But if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to answer by the staff that's present on this call, please feel free to voice those at this time. We are here to assist you with any questions you have. If we can answer them now, great. If we can't, we will follow up with you.
I'll just make one more comment on the TOT for the homeowners, permit holders, and agencies that are on the call. I'm with VRON. I think we should just recognize that Jacob is just carrying out a function here. As he said, the policy making is with the city council. We've initiated conversations with the council. That's really where this conversation belongs at this point. It's a matter of policy and of their evaluation of the quality of the communications that surrounded all of this. And that's really where the discussion needs to go next. I have no personal animus with Mr. Azar. It's this issue resides with the council at this point. That's the logical next conversation.
Thank
and
you,
we've
David.
had some of them already.
David, thank you for saying that. That's very fair.
And this is Brett Connor again. So, but how are we supposed to move forward from here? Go back X years and figure out what Airbnb was supposed to, or it seems very daunting. What do I do now?
This is Jeff. I'll be bringing this up with the city manager, and if necessary, we'll bring it to the city council for discussion.
But do I need to start going back to my records and retroactively figuring out what all these fees are and start paying back TOT? Or do I sit tight?
I'm not going to give you legal advice, but I'll tell you.
Right, but someone from the city needs to tell us where to go from here. Right?
So that is VRON's purpose. VRON's purpose is to help figure these things out with the city as your representatiers of all homeowners. And we're the ones.
I just can't believe the city is just not saying anything.
I understand. I mean, we have a lot of great relationships with the city on a lot of issues. This one got tricky. Okay. So, hopefully you're a VRON member, and that's our purpose, is to.
And let me be clear, I am okay with going back and getting money that the city feels they are owed. I just need to know to go ahead and, like a good soldier, go and do that, or sit tight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I need to know, because that's what I need to go and do. I'm going to go do it. I don't have any problem with that, because it's, the city needs the money. So if that's what they want, just be clear. That's what you go and do, and I go do it. No questions asked.
Yeah, I agree with you, Daryl. I'm just, I'm frustrated with the lack of communication.
Yeah, what are we doing? Are we collecting TOT on the Airbnb and VRBO fees, or just the host fees? What is the rule right now? Anybody?
any fee that the guest had to pay to obtain the right to occupy your home is taxable.
Okay, then let me show you proactive. I'm gonna go back and get that money if they haven't already paid, and that's it.
But you're talking about the money they pay to us, not the money they're paying to Airbnb.
It doesn't matter who they paid. If they had to pay it to get the home, it's taxable.
This is all in dispute.
So then you are saying that
So
we
I'm
have
very
to pay
clear right
TOT.
now what I need to go
Then
and
let
do.
me be clear here. So we are paying TOT on the Airbnb and VRBO fees that they collect, that they should be paying taxes on. Is that correct?
You need to collect taxes on it. It's withheld from your payment.
No, it's not.
No, Jacob, it is not withheld from our payments.
It's not
Okay.
withheld from our payment.
Okay, so hold on, Jacob, this is Trish Selby, and I'm a licensed attorney as well, and I took tax as well, and this is actually driving me just a little bit nutty here. When you look at the way it is broken out, and you look at the lawsuits across the country that Airbnb and VRBO have been involved in, and what the IRS has told them, their relationship with their clients on their platform has nothing to do with us. What they collect from them, they pay their taxes on. If you as the city want to go and say, hey, you owe us tote too for your platform service as an OTA, that's fine. But that has absolutely nothing to do with what we collect and what we charge tote on. And that is not my reading of the statute, and that is not my reading of the municipal code. I do understand it is your reading of it, but that is currently in dispute, not just by me, but all the other 2,200 license holders who have never been told that from the beginning.
So Trish, it's Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
We agree with you.
I know you do. I'm not talking about you.
But we have had a ton of different cases in California. It's called the merchant model or the wholesale retail model. Okay. And I'm not going to deep dive into all this, but clearly there's a dispute between what the city and the city attorney has an outside counsel from his company, from Best and Krieger, okay? And there's a dispute about whether this applies to Palm Springs or not. And does Palm Springs apply to different cases that were settled in law in San Diego and Santa Monica and one of the city, Francine, I can't remember the other city.
I know, I read them. I know.
Yeah. Yes. So we are clearly in a dispute. Okay. What we want to do is have the attorneys from VRBO talk to the attorney representing the city that our city attorney has assigned and come to some kind of resolution, because there's a difference of opinion. Okay. And that's our goal. Let's just figure out how to resolve this. And, you know, what cases apply and what cases don't apply. I'm on your side.
But in the meantime, and this is Stella, but in the meantime, we're audited on that amount and had to pay back taxes on that amount.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So I'd like to know where we stand right now, so that there is, so if not in a future lawsuit, where does it stand right now?
So right now the city claims they can retroactively tax us back to 2017, okay? And we have two different viewpoints. One, the tax is not legal, okay? But number two, even if the tax was legal, we had an agreement with the city in August 2019, and they're trying to go back, you know, they're trying to retroactively go back before that agreement. So two issues. This is both political and legal.
And also threatening. I mean, Jacob literally threatened me in a letter saying that I will have penalties, I will have my license revoked if I don't pay this.
Correct. So we
I
understand.
object to that comment. I never said such a thing to her.
You certainly did, and I have it in writing, and I'll be happy to send it to everyone.
Okay. I want to well, VRON, we, as the board of VRON, wants to calm all this down and come to a resolution. I do not believe they can retroactively go back to 2017. That's our position. If they wish to take a position that these items are taxable, and let's say the lawyers all talk to each other, okay, from VRBO and the city, then they need to establish a new date. This becomes taxable. We did brilliant in 2019 when we created the first chart, okay, that said there was an additional item, and that item would become taxable January 1st, 5 months later. So we were very clear, okay? And so, you know, that's the resolution we're trying to find. If it is taxable, fine. Make it January 1st or, you know, September or whatever, okay? But this going backwards and trying to hit all of us back to 2017 is not acceptable to us.
For the record, we haven't necessarily agreed that it's legal. The city says it's legal. That doesn't necessarily mean it's legal. People say things are legal all the time that are not legal. People say things that are illegal that are legal all the time. You know, that's the purpose of legislative bodies taking positions when people are in dispute and making ultimate resolutions of these differences. And we have every intention of having cordial discussions when lawyers need to have cordial discussions, and then we will have cordial discussions with the ultimate policymakers, which is the city council, and we will do everything in our power to persuade them that we are correct because we believe we are correct. They have the right to believe they are correct, and we have the right to believe we are correct, and we will take our actions accordingly. And they won't be bashful about it.
And I'll remind everybody on this call that the TOT ordinances go back to 1982, which covered hotels. They did not account for the introduction of Airbnb or VRBO and how the financial models work. And
Exactly.
yes, I mean, Jeff, would you, Jeff Ballinger, would you at least agree that the ordinances were written for hotels and then vacation rentals came in and the economic models are different?
Oh, absolutely. It's, you know, it's like our Constitution. It was written, you know, hundreds of years ago, and now we're living in a different world, and we have to figure out how it applies to today's world. So that's the challenge.
Right. Right.
Well, thanks.
So
Sorry.
we're running way over, which is fine because we all care, and we still have 70 people on this call. I wanted to make one comment to all the homeowners on this group. Okay. We went through a very rough summer last year. And I'm sorry, I can't get my camera to turn on, but we went through a very rough summer. We had crazed COVID crowds coming in. Okay. We don't know what to anticipate this summer, but our number of complaint calls, our number of citations went through the roof. And those are facts. Can't deny that. Okay? We don't know what this summer is going to bring. So to all the homeowners, I encourage you, please, put decals on all of your back door windows to the backyard. No outside music. You know, quiet time after 10. Put signs up in the yard. If you go to the VRON website, you can buy signs with official City of Palm Springs seals that show, you can't make noise after 10. Anything any of you can do to diminish the number of outside amplified music calls is vital to making us continue to be a part of the community and, keep the faction that doesn't like us from being able to make complaints. I'll add one more thing. We have VRONs in Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, and La Quinta. They are their own boards. Okay? They're learning how to do this, and we don't want Palm Springs to become the center for why vacation rentals should not be allowed. Okay? They're all making moves. So everybody who owns a home, do what you can do to let people know no outside amplified noise. Please. That's beyond what the code doesn't say you have to have signs. The code doesn't say you have to have decals on your windows. Just do it.
Thanks, Bruce, for that. And again, thanks, Trish, David, Michael, anyone else I forgot to was talking regarding our debate and conversation regarding TBID. As Mr. Ballinger stated, he will be bringing this up to the city manager, and look for further communication from there. But again, thank you for everyone for joining our May 2020 stakeholder meeting. It was very informative. And if there's any final comments or questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, then I think we're at the end of our agenda.
Thank you, everyone.
Patrick, did you get your vaccines?
I have not got my vaccines yet because, fortunately I had a cold. As you know, I was out for those few weeks. So they don't want to give you anything when you're sick. So at this point now, my wife got hers, and then, next would be and me if, my wife gives me the thumbs up too as well to share the shot with her.
I'd also like to thank Davis for her presentation. VRON in Palm Springs has worked on this for years, getting this put into place. I know some homeowners may not want to add another 1% to the bill, okay? But the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitor Bureau does amazing work. And what Davis has been doing with everything, getting us information and stuff, it will pay off. So please don't be afraid of them. They are a marvelous organization. They have done great work. And I'm so happy we're now a part of being able to have our own funds that we can promote vacation rentals in multiple ways. And thank you very much for giving me that time.
And thanks, Bruce. And again, thanks, Davis, for that presentation. And with that, everyone have a good remainder of the May month. And our next vacation rental stakeholder meeting will be on August 10th, 2021, again at 5:00 p.m. And, any questions between there and now, definitely feel free to email myself, or if it's finance related, Jacob, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Again, thank you for everyone for joining, and have a pleasant evening.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick.